here today at Musqueam, and I know a little bit about the history of Musqueam's community. Lives were so governed in previous circumstances in the 20th century by the Indian agent. The planning process was not something that the community had so much control over, or to the extent that they did, it was in a very adversarial relationship with the government. For many communities, the need for people who can not only understand the community's desires and perspectives in working through the development of a plan, but be able to negotiate that with surrounding agencies and municipalities and governments is really critical. I became aware of some of the work that people in Scarp were doing, and particularly Leonie Sandercock.
We wanted to ensure that students coming to UBC were aware that there is a First Nations community that they are located on. And if they were going to further their career and wanted to work with First Nations, who better to get to know than the Musqueam community itself, who had already started their community planning process. That was, I think, a huge foundation for the program, for them to really get a grasp of what it's like to work in a First Nations community.
It's the only Indigenous planning program in, I think, the world probably, but in Canada for sure. I'd like to thank the Real Estate Foundation for funding some of our practicum work, because the practicum has been the highlight of the graduate experience. I think at Scarp, being able to work in the community is a really special opportunity.
I'm Indigenous. I've been working with Indigenous communities for much of my life, and so I wanted to bring my skill set to the next level, and I thought Scarp would be the great place for it, and it has been. You know, I've learned a lot, whether it's in the classroom, on internships, or the big learning has been at the practicum with Lake Pavia Nation.
I think the practicum is the idea of bridging practice and theory. So you learn in the classroom and then you apply in the community, right? And then not everything that you learn in the classroom is applied in the community, because it's a living entity.
Indigenous communities have planned their communities for millennia, and so that knowledge is there, it's present in the communities. And so I think what the Indigenous Community Planning Program does is it's a really exciting opportunity to actually create something that's really unique. Something that builds upon the knowledge that is already there and introduces a lot of different skills, and that's what the students bring into that process.
So much of my work is community-driven, nation-based, and so to do that at the community level, I'm constantly using those skills and lessons and relationships that I got from being in the ICEP program.
I'm just very excited to think, what 40 years career for these young people and their impact on planning in Canada is going to be. We're very, very proud of the work that they've done in the first 3 years, and so excited to see how it's going to grow over the next number of years.
We have the opportunity to create circumstances where people find ways of talking to each other in which they develop an understanding of each other's positions, they have a way of exchanging important information, and they have a way of working together to resolve problems that they've identified as needing solutions.
I think the relationships that ICP is creating with First Nations communities is making planning exciting. It's rekindling connections with people and creating relationships with people. Earning trust back from people that may have lost it because of residential school and what has happened to them in the past. So community planning is not just planning, it's continuing work that my grandparents did, my great-grandparents did, the community's elders have done, and planning for the future.